Murphy, company from LA, Act Lighting. Welcome to today's webinar, Tech Talks. As you know, our kickoff topic is all about MAtricks. I am joined by my colleague, Kat Covell.
Hey, Will Murphy.
Hey. Thanks for all your wonderful pre-webinar questions. Those will be fun to go through. I just noticed that I forgot to turn the video screen capture on, so apologize. Hopefully you can hear me, but there you go. There's my pretty face. So lovely. With his nice beard and everything. Okay, that's enough. That's enough. Large version of me. We will shrink that down and keep that in the corner. So today we're talking about MAtricks. What's its purpose? What do you use it for? MAtricks is one of the most handy selection tools I have ever come across. And if you guys have ever used the next key, you have actually been using MAtricks. So if you think you've never used MAtricks, but you've hit that next key, then, well, in fact, you actually have used MAtricks before. So let's take a very simple example, my alpha spots group. These are all my alpha spots. I know somebody asked what highlight was used for. Well, I'm actually going to use highlight because highlight shows me what I have selected by opening up the beam in full. Open white takes all the wheels out, takes all the colors out. It's a great way to find fixtures. At the same time, it's also a great way to visually see on stage what is selected. So right now, yeah, in my stage view, I can see these lights are selected, but if this was the real stage, and I hit highlight, all those lights would turn on open white. Okay, I haven't actually turned the dimmer on. I haven't touched anything in my fixture sheet. See, nothing is active. It's just saying, okay, if these are selected, it's going to open them up in white on your actual stage. So the beauty of this for our tutorial is that MAtricks is a selection tool. It's a way to manipulate your current selected fixtures. And now you guys are going to be able to visually see on the stage view what's selected. And by the way, if the person that asked the question about highlight hits that button and nothing happens, it's because there is a way to disable highlight in solo in user settings, Grandmaster Blackout. I can disable highlight, I can disable solo, I can disable the blackout key, I can disable the Grandmaster key. So during programming, these might be really handy tools, but in the middle of the show, if you accidentally enable one of those buttons, it's not going to look so good on stage. So some people choose to disable those for showtime. Okay, so now I mentioned the next and previous key are actually a function of MAtricks. So if I click this next key, I can see that I had originally had 12 fixtures selected, and as I was stepping through them, as I'm nexting through them, it's a sub-selection. This is actually a function of MAtricks. We're going to put a stage view down here so we can see the same thing. And if above your 4 encoders, you'll see there's always an MAtricks button here. Okay, so if I reset, you'll notice that there's nothing happening in my MAtricks pop-up. If I hit next, you'll see MAtricks is active, and I have selected the first single X fixture. Next a couple times, that's the the 5th one, and I can see single X number 5. Okay, so you guys are already using MAtricks. Okay, big deal. You're nexting through fixtures. Nothing exciting here. Well, something that gets more exciting is you want a quick way to select odds and evens. Now, some people will create groups for this, but it's very boring, especially if you have a different amount of fixtures every night. You're on a festival tour, the number of fixtures change. You just want a quick way to select all the evens or the odds. This is where you're going to use Interleave. So if I set my Interleave to 2, and then I hit next, you'll notice it selects the first fixture of every 2. If I hit next, it selects the second fixture of every 2. And that's all the fixtures, so I can only go back and forth. Now, if you increase your Interleave, let's say I do an Interleave of 4, and I hit next, I'm selecting the first fixture out of every 4 of my currently 12 selected fixtures. Okay, if I hit next again, I have now selected the second fixture of every 4 out of my total of 12, and the third set and the fourth set. Now right now, highlight is being used to show me what I currently have selected. But what's something, how might I actually use this for the actual show? If we say I have a stage view here, and we're going to put a color pool down here so we can have access to it. So I have orange, yellow, and red. Okay. So in my MAtricks pop-up, I'm actually going to do an interleave of 3. Instead of using the next key, I can actually use single X, these plus and minus buttons. So it's yet another way. It's a hard key versus a soft key. I'm going to turn off highlight. These lights are not on, so I need to double click my at key to bring those to full. And if I hit orange, they all turn orange. But if I use single X, I have now selected the first of every 3. I want the first of every 3 to be red. I want the second of every 3 to be yellow. And the third of every 3 will be orange. Okay. Another thing you might do is that if you have position presets, I currently have the third set of fixtures out of every 3 selected. So I'm going to focus those there. Now I have the first set, I'll focus those there, and I have the second set, and I'll focus those there. Okay? So, rather than me having to make all these weird groups for this, I could change this up. Maybe we're just dealing with odds and evens. So the odds are going to be orange, and we want those there, and the evens are going to be red, and oops, I hit edit accidentally. I right-clicked. The evens are going to be red and focused over here. Okay. To get out of this edit mode, by the way, you just hit escape. So hopefully MAtricks is making sense now where it can be very powerful. Your interleave can go up and up. So if you have more than 12 fixtures, you know, in terms of 12 fixtures, it makes sense for 3s, 4s, that's about it. If you have more fixtures, you might have higher interleaves, and you can just single X through them or next through them. We're going to reset the matrix, so I clear my programmer. I'm going to take those 12 lights again. We're going to use highlight. I can see those are selected just via highlight. So what are these other options in MAtricks? Well, you have blocks of 2, and then you step through them. You're selecting every 2 fixtures next to each other. You might do blocks of 4. The first 4, the second set of 4, the third set of 4. Okay, so blocks can be handy for sure. We're going to skip over align groups for a second. I want to look down here with wings. This is where symmetry comes into play. You want to basically mirror your selection. So if I say wings of 2, well, first, sorry, just to reiterate, if I next through these, it's just selecting them one at a time. If I do wings of 2 and then I step through, you see it's mirroring my selection. So instead of just the far left stage right fixture, I'm selecting the 2 outer fixtures, then the next set, then the next set, then the next set. And how might this play into your encoders? We're going to hit set, which is a great way to reselect all the fixtures. We will tilt those down stage, and then you have your MAtricks pop up, right? We can hit next, which is, so let's pick the first one, and you notice we're panning those to the left. Pick the next one, we'll pan those the other way, and pick the next one and pan those this way. Hit set, I see those all again, but hey, not so symmetrical. So I'm gonna off my pan or recenter my pan so my tilt is the same. We have this really neat feature called wing style. So currently wings of 2 is selecting the outer 2, the next 2, the next 2. There's this nice thing called wing style pan, wing style tilt, wing style pan and tilt. Wing style XYZ if you were using those attributes, which we're not in this case. So we're going to use wing style pan. I hit next, and now I spin my pan encoder, and notice it's also mirroring the pan values. So not only am I mirroring the selection, I'm mirroring the pan values, which means I can step through these and do a nice crisscross pattern, and you basically get perfect symmetry and very quickly. So I hit set, I see all those again, and you have this nice symmetry pattern. Now that was 2 fixtures at a time. Maybe that gets kind of boring, takes a long time, so maybe I'd actually use some wing style 4. So that's going to mirror the first half with the second set, and then the second set mirrors the third set, and then the third set mirrors the fourth set. So it takes that selection of 12, divides it by 4, and then you have the first 3 mirror the second 3 mirror the third 3 mirror the fourth 3. Because we have wing style pan, I can spin my encoder. Those first 3, the pan of the first 3 mirror the pan of the second 3, and I can do the same symmetry thing a lot faster than the first time I did that. So very cool stuff there. Interleave, blocks, wings, for sure. You know, if we come back to doing this example with colors, I want that first set to be orange, that next set to be yellow, and the next set to be red. Now you guys probably notice, these are still white, right? Why? Because I'm using highlight. When I turn off highlight, oh, they all go dark because I never actually turned the dimmer on. So I hit set to reselect all of them, bring them to full, and you can see now the colors apply. Because remember, when you highlight something, the color is pulled out, so it's open white. Cool. What do you think so far, Kat? Covers the basics?
A little bit.
Did I miss something there?
Yeah, how about we talk about selection order? How is that important?
Oh, selection order is very important. Yes, I always forget this one. I have to remind people, selection order always matters with everything you do in this desk, okay? Fortunate enough that these are hung in order. Therefore, MAtricks applies to the selection order. MAtricks has no idea where or how these are hung, what position they're hung. Therefore, it's very important that you select them in a particular order. If I select these 2 fixtures, if I get out of follow mode, I can actually select them. These 2, then I select these 2, then I select this one, then I select this one and this one, and this one, and I keep going this way. I have selected these in a very random order. Therefore, if you try this same example, if I turn on highlight, and I'm going to reset the pan so that these are at center. If I start nexting through these, oh God, it goes in this very random order. Well, it's not random, it's the order I selected it in. That's all MAtricks knows. Okay, so it doesn't know how it's hung. Therefore, if you actually tried this, say, wings of 4 and pan, it's going to be probably pretty weird looking. Yeah, that doesn't really work like the example. So remember to always select the fixtures in order so that your MAtricks works nicely. So in this case, it's 101 through 112. And now we'd be back to how I was doing the example earlier, and we get nice symmetry here in terms of our pan and our selection. Right?
Right.
Cool. That's a very good question. Remember, selection order always matters. Everything you do. Everything you do. All right. On to the next one. There was a guy that posted a question. What is the difference between MAtricks in Gramma 1 and Gramma 2? Everything that I just showed you exists in Grand MA 1. Okay? The next couple of things I'm going to show you are what is new to the Gramma 2 MAtricks tool. Okay? The first thing we're going to look at is align group X. Let me get this color out of here. And we're actually going to clear out a program. We'll start from scratch here. Alpha spots. Okay. You guys have probably used a range of dimmer input, right? We'll do that now. I have these 12 lights selected. I say at 10 through 100. And because I've selected these from stage right to stage left, 101 through 112, it applies that range of dimmer in that same order. So the first selected fixtures are at 10%, and then the range is applied all the way up to 100% with the last fixture. You might find yourself in a scenario where you want to apply 10 through 100 to sets or groups of fixtures 4 at a time. And this is where align group X becomes very cool. Instead of me having to say 101 through 104 at 100, okay, if I did this the long way, I would select those and say at 10 through 100. And then I would select these and say at 10 through 100. And then I would select these. I like to show the long way so you make sense of what this feature does at 10 through 100. That just took me a very long time. Okay, align group X, I can do this way faster. So we'll just put those at full real quick so you can see that it changes. Align group X based on 4 fixtures at a time at 10 through 100. Therefore, in one step, I have done the same thing that just took me multiple steps. Very, very cool. Okay, very quick. When it comes to dimmer, maybe not as particularly, crazy. I'm going to, however, have a look at this in relation to color. Have you guys ever used this align key? I hope so. If not, you should. So we're going to start with align off. Everything's red. I want to do a rainbow. I say align to left, and now I have a rainbow of colors from stage right to stage left because of the selection order. But they're not mirrored, and they're not based on 4 fixtures at a time. We could do something that looks cooler. I'd do something like align to outer. So the outer fixtures are red, and the fixtures in the middle are purple. Okay, so you get the nice symmetry there. But let's say I wanted to do this 4 fixtures at a time instead of all 12. This is where align group X becomes really cool. Align group X4, we start up there with red, and I do the same align to left. You see red, green, blue, purple, red, green, blue, purple, red, blue, green, purple. One foul swoop. Amazing. And if I go back to where we want to have symmetry, my outer fixtures are red. I say align to outer, and I want my inner fixtures to be blue. So it aligns it based on 4 fixtures at a time. It's the same as selecting the first 4 doing this, the next 4 doing this, the third 4 doing this. Now you just do it all at once. Okay? And how about pan and tilt? So we bring these down stage, and I can choose align to center, and it aligns the pan to center based on 4 fixtures at a time because my align group is set to 4. I just saved you guys hours of time, I hope. This is amazing. You have to practice it, though. Make sure you practice it. Does that cover what you do with align group, Kat?
I think so.
Is there another example I'm missing? Okay, so remember, that's one of the new things with Gramma 2 MAtricks, which makes MAtricks in Gramma 2 improves over Gramma 1. We also have added 2-dimensional MAtricks, and for a row of fixtures, this doesn't really make a whole lot of sense, but you notice I have this grid of LEDs on the back. But I select these first left to right, then top to bottom. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, etc. across the top. And we're going to use highlights so we can see these. Hopefully this is clear enough. You guys can see the white dot in the middle, which indicates that it's selected. I apologize, the yellow selection might be making this a little difficult. So how does MAtricks play into this? Well, I can single X through this, right? You could see 1 at a time. I could do blocks of 4 and step through this 4 at a time. But what if I wanted to select a whole row? Well, this is where you come back to interleave. Okay, your interleave is going to be based on the number of columns. So I know that I have 10 columns of fixtures here. And now when I do single X, I'm selecting columns at a time. Right? you have this option for single Y now. This is where you get the 2 dimensions. Turn this off, and it's being annoying and not resetting. So now we go on the single Y, and I can pick rows at a time. Okay, I can do two rows at a time by doing blocks in Y. And if I combine the 2, there was a question that came in about selecting individual fixtures based on kind of a grid. I can pick an actual coordinate. So if I say 4 and 1, this would be row 4, column 4, row number 5. And if I do blocks of 2 on both the X and the Y, I can dial in to the specific box. Now remember, this is showing you what's selected. So what you have selected right now is what you can manipulate. These 4 fixtures are currently selected. I can make them orange. I can bring them to full. I can turn them off, etc. Okay, so you can get a little crazy here, especially if you have a grid of fixtures. So it's 2-dimensional. Now, if we go back to this example associated with aligning values, I'm going to turn off highlight, hit set to reselect everything, just bring it to full, and I can pick a particular color. Okay, what happens if I set my interleave to 10 and I align? I should back up actually, just so it's clear. I'll say align to left, and now we're getting this rainbow. You know, it kind of starts at red, goes to orange, goes to yellow, etc. It's kind of boring. No symmetry. I like symmetry. So we're going to start with red again, set my interleave to 10, and I want to align based on the columns. So I have 10 columns, right? Then I say align to left, and you'll notice red is the first column, then I have orange, then I have yellow, green, blue, etc. Okay? Now you could do the same thing based on rows if you wanted rows instead of columns. So we take our line off, we start with red, which will be the top row, we align to left, and red, and then orange, and then green. Remember our last example, if you want to have symmetry from one side to the other, we'll bring this back to 0. We'll do this 10. So I'm going to start with blue on the outside. That's what I want, is blue on the outside, and then I say align to outer. And I want it to go to orange in the middle. So the outer columns are blue, and then it works its way to orange towards the center. Okay, so align. Remember, align group works with the align button, where your align button is used to align values by spinning encoders or dragging in the color picker. Cool?
Pretty awesome stuff, Will.
There is one last little item in here, which is just based on fixture ID. This is the MAtricks filter, so maybe that original example that I had pointed out, which was interleave for odds and evens, that's not a true odd ID and a true even ID. That's odd selection based on your selection order and even selection based on your selection order. If you have a bunch of fixtures and you want to force select all the odd fixture IDs, this is where you'll use your MAtricks filter, odd ID. And you see in my fixture sheet, I only have the odd numbers selected. In my fixture sheet, I now only have the evens. So if you were very clever about how you were doing fixture IDs and you don't want to worry about as much about selection order, you could use that little filter. But based on what I showed you guys, I usually don't really bother with it. Cool. Now, I'm doing a lot of this via this little pop-up. You don't have to do that. You could just use your MAtricks pool. Okay, so I have this MAtricks pool here. These are the generic ones that are built in. So if I go back to our first example here, I do the alpha spots. We highlight those, and maybe I want to do an interleave of 3, and I want to select the second of every 3. So you see I chose interleave in the pool, and it's the second of every 3. I can reset. Maybe I want to do blocks of 3, and here we have our next button, so 3 at a time. And you'll see if you have the MAtricks pop-up open, you can see as I touch these, those little green values down here at the bottom change. So you could do even your aligned groups, you could set your wings, you could do pan, mirror, etc. This is a very generic MAtricks. There was a question on the list about what MAtricks should I have available for my festival show. You should have these. These are all the predefined, okay? You go to import, export, and you say import, MAtricks, predefined, double click. These are all in blue, and you say import. It adds all these generics. That's really probably all you ever need. Okay, if you do find some random arrangement of fixtures, you have an odd arrangement and you have a very specific selection you like. Maybe you really like blocks of 4 and wings of 3 and an interleave of 4 or 2. Okay, you set those in green, you say store, you store here. Okay, now when you recall this, it brings back those values. So if you have some unique ones, just create them. Remember, MAtricks are a part of your user profile. They're not part of the show data. So you have to bring your user profile into the show in order to get your arrangement of MAtricks. This is probably a lot to take in. Everything I showed you is actually in the tutorial, in the help manual. So if you help.malighting.com or the help manual built into the desk, you'll notice welcome, intro, tutorials. Go to tutorials. There's one down here on MAtricks, MAtricks interleave, MAtricks blocks. The manual is deciding not to load on me right now, which is always wonderful in a live display. We could try to find this in the manual, actually, if we just, that's actually built in here. Tutorials, MAtricks, you have that, it shows little light bulbs, interleave, this talks about interleave, MAtricks blocks. By the way, somebody asked, can I put MAtricks in the layout view? No, unfortunately, because layout views are part of show data. Remember I said MAtricks is part of user profiles? Well, because the user profile could potentially not exist, we don't allow MAtricks into the layout view. If you try it, it actually will work, and then you restart the desk, it goes away because it says this is not allowed. We do not allow views, MAtricks, or masks into the layout view because those are part of your user profile. So if you would like MAtricks buttons in your layout view, just use macros. You'll notice with each of these, matrix wings, these are keywords, wings of 2, matrix wings of 2, matrix blocks of 3, matrix interleave of 4. Of course, you can use the MAtricks pool, but if I say MAtricks wings 2, it does MAtricks wings of 2, MAtricks interleave 2, yes. And if you want to see shortcuts for these keywords, CMD help lists everything. It looks like the shortcuts are MB equals MAtricks blocks, MF equals MAtricks filter, MG equals MAtricks groups. So if you're making macros for your layout view, you say MB2, and then you have MAtricks blocks 2 and MW2. Yeah, matrix wings 2. Okay. I know that was one of the questions on the list about layout views. Man, this is a long topic, eh? So much to talk about. I think that covers everything about MAtricks. Do you agree? Did I miss something, Kat?
Yeah, let's talk about instances. How do I grab like the third instance?
Oh, yes. I did patch some instance fixtures. You're going to use interleave. Yeah, everybody thinks dealing with instances is hard, but if you know how to use MAtricks, it's totally easy. So down here on the floor, I have color blazes. Yeah, 12 instance color blazes. You might have, somebody asked about Roby that has 5, and it's like, I only want to select the 0.2 fixture. Okay, let's say I want to select the fifth instance of every fixture. So the fifth, there's 4 fixtures here. There are 12 instances each, and I want to select the 5th one. Well, interleave 12, single X, 5. Cool. And the real trick, the keyword, help MAtricks interleave. Hey, look at this crazy one. MAtricks interleave column dot array width. MAtricks 1.2, that selects the first column of a second column wide array, first of every second fixture. Odd. Well, that's confusing. Let's reset that. I'm pretty sure I think I know what I'm talking about. 5.12? Yes. So you need to see what I did. I want the 5th instance of every 12 instances. So if you have 5 instance Roby and you want to select the 2nd of every one, select all of them and say MAtricks, sorry, MI 2.5. I have 12 instance fixtures here, so I'm going to say 2.12, and it selects the 2nd. Very handy macro. That's a nice trick. That's a nice trick. Write that one down, everybody. Write that down. All right. Does that answer that interleave?
I think it does. Unless anyone has any other questions about that, you can just send that on over. But how about we get to some of these other non-MAtricks related questions?
Yeah, I'm happy to answer them. We have quite an array of questions that came in during registration. There's probably more now, so I apologize. We probably won't get to all of them. Let's get going. We got 10 minutes.
All right, let's do this. Hey, Will, in my patch, how do I put the fixtures in numerical order if they are not?
Oh, that's a fun one. Piece of cake. Setup works everywhere in the desk. It's just column sorting. So I have a column. If I swipe up or I right click on it, I get an up arrow. If I right click on it again, I get a down arrow or swipe down. You know, you see the little arrow, 3 clicks. The 3rd click that goes away. Now, people have had their fixtures out of order. This is where you're going to want to use your, you can sort this here for display purposes, but it remains out of order in this fixture sheet because your index order might be wrong. So this is sorted with the up arrow. This is sorted with the down arrow. That's a display thing. When there's no little arrows, this is the index order in the background. To rearrange that, you'd cut and paste. So this is the index order, which I think is supposed to put these out of order in the fixture sheet, which might be odd to you. That doesn't, why doesn't it do that? Well, I don't know off the top of my head why it's doing that, but I've seen scenarios where the indexed order is wrong. So just be aware. Use cut, paste, and cut, paste. Ah, there we go. Best part of the job.
Cutting and pasting. Good to know. That's awesome. All right, Will, unrelated to MAtricks or cutting and pasting, is it possible to store a chase in a handle with other cues going on?
Sure. You'd have a chaser anywhere you want on your executor. So store 1 through 12 is 12 cues. Here's a chaser. Assign window is now a chaser, and it's going. Now, what may end up happening is that if this is running and your main cue list here turns off, it's probably because of off on overwritten. So disable this, off on overwritten. Now this stays on. but is your chaser not taking control of the fixtures? Well, it's because both executors have the same priority. So go in here, set your chaser to a higher priority. Okay, that means when this executor is controlling those fixtures, it has control regardless of what your main executor is doing. By disabling off on overwritten, though, at least your main executor won't turn off. Therefore, when you turn the chaser off, everything goes back to the way you want. Cool.
Cool. Hey, Will, can you go over the rules for how tweaking effects in the Effects Engine Live works? Sometimes I have to restart it, sometimes not. What's going on there?
Yes, I think you shall keep doing this until we fix the bug. If you didn't know this was a bug, I apologize. This is a bug in 3.1 and will be fixed with the release of 3.2, which is probably this spring, and live effects editing will come back. Now, I believe I understand this does not work in all cases, but many times if you store the effect to the executor, run it, and then edit it, you can usually edit it live. But we are well aware that editing selective effects running in the programmer, editing those live does not update live, and I apologize for that.
All right. Let's take it back to MAtricks because it looks like we didn't go over this. Hey, Will, is there a hard key for the keyword MAtricks?
Oh, dang, I'm sorry. Yes, no, I cannot find one. I don't think there is one. You will have to make a macro and assign it where you wish to have it. So how to do that very quickly, somewhere a blank macro, hopefully. Here we go. MAtricks at, what does this mean? MAtricks is not, does that mean something? Yes, this waits for input. Yeah, the MAtricks keyword, I just realized I was underthinking this. The MAtricks keyword is just to store the pool item, toggle MAtricks on and off, and recall the pool item. The hard key association with MAtricks, which I unfortunately cannot show very well on PC, next is just simple single X. If you hold set and hit next, it does the interleave, I think. Then there's like previous and next. Do you remember? These are in the manual somewhere.
Yes, they are. If you're holding, was it MA next and previous, that turns off your interleave.
They're listed somewhere.
They are listed. It would be in the hard key keyword overview.
Hard key keyword overview. Hard keyword.
It's going to show us our keyword combinations, or our hard key combinations that we have.
Hard key keyword.
Hard key is one word.
Oh. Let's do it from the internet. Hard key keyword. Hard key keyword overview. Where is this located? Talk, concept, extended operations, hard key keyword overview. Find all the matrix listed. Okay, yeah, MA plus previous next, selects all the rows. MA set next is for blocks. MA set previous is for minus blocks. Previous set next is interleave is off. Set next, interleave, yeah. So I'd encourage you guys to go through this list, look for all the matrix shortcuts that require 2 key combos, which will work with the console and the on-PC command wing. Won't work with this on-screen soft keys. Cool?
All right, cool. All right, taking it back away from MAtricks. Hey, Will, can you map the 4 encoders with MIDI?
And this is not possible. I would encourage you to buy a command wing. I'm sorry. You can map your MIDI notes to syntax, for example. I could say like attribute pan at +1, and it for forces it to a value at plus space 1 will increase it by 1, and at minus space 1 will increase it by 1. I've seen people create MIDI notes that do this kind of syntax. Otherwise, direct encoder control, unfortunately, is only possible with the command wing right now.
Cool, good answer. Well, this is a long one. Hey, Will, is there a way to pause the command telling an executor to fade over a time? Let's say executor at 50 time 10. Can I pause that after it has already started?
Yeah, you just pause the executor. So I'll put a little executor here. We'll set that. Well, the time doesn't matter because I think you're actually saying you're forcing a time. So go to Q1, fade 20, executor 206. Starts this through long time, etc. Pause executor 206. Is not moving anymore. You want it to go again? I think it's just a go. Oh, that reset it from the beginning though. Sorry. Repeat this. Go to Q1, executor fade 20, pause executor 206, which is pausing it. To unpause it, you run the same syntax. So pause is used to pause it, pause is used to resume. If you just do a regular go, it just restarts the queue from the beginning. Cool.
All right. On to what looks like the last question. Well, no. Yeah, it looks like the last one of this list.
We're at our time limit anyway, so this is perfect.
All right. Are we?
Yep. 2:15 today.
Is there a way to generate universal color presets?
No. You can auto-create. We talked about this actually in the last webinar. You can auto-create colors based on the number of hues and the number of saturations you want. Right now, this is only making global. Unfortunately, with 3.1, there's not a quick way to change the scope to universal. However, with 3.2, there will be a single string of syntax of some form where you can change the scope. So you'll create 100 color presets. They're all global. Cool, fine. Change them all. Use this with 3.2. You'll use the command to change them all to universal. So just a little bit longer, and you can do it. All right. You've used up a fantastic 45 minutes. It's been a pleasure talking to you guys. I hope you've learned a lot about MAtricks. Remember, it's in the help manual. Almost everything we covered is documented in the help manual. Very powerful tool. You must practice with it. It will not make any sense if you wait until showtime. Get your own PC, patch some fixtures, try again. Okay, until it sinks in. Keep running through this tutorial. Okay, that's how you're going to get good at MAtricks. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, it's been fun hanging with you, Will.
Happy programming.